Welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. It's Kelly here, and today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new stamp set, Capybaras, and its coordinating dies and coloring stencils. We're also going to be introducing the Capybaras AddOn and its coordinating dies and coloring stencils too. And this set is so much fun, and I love the little add-on because it gives you some more scene building elements, a super cute frog, and an adorable sleeping baby capybara. We're also going to be taking a look at our Riverside Backdrop. This brand new die is so gorgeous. We have it in both landscape and portrait, and it helps you create these amazing backgrounds. They're really great for the capybaras and for some of your other favorite stamped images too, and we'll be showing you that in just a little bit in this video. But first up, we're going to take a look at the Capybara stamp set, and this stamp set is so cute. I absolutely love these capybaras. And if you've never heard of a capybara before, they are a large rodent. They live in South America. They like to swim as well, and they are just the cutest things. If you want your day made, look up some capybara videos because they are just adorable. They're super sweet and chill animals, and here you can see how adorable they are. We have them in a bunch of different places. They're sitting, sleeping, standing. We have little baby capybaras, and they're so much fun for making adorable scenes. We have a cute little bird, and then all of these fun birthday hats in 2 different sizes so that you can make birthday capybara cards. And then we also have a little party horn, also perfect for birthdays, and a graduation cap too. So these are just so much fun so that you can create different styles of cards with the capybaras. We have a cute birthday cake, and then we have this little cake with the fun little citrus on top. Capybaras really like citrus. They like oranges and yuzus, and people have them floating around with little yuzus, so those are fun for adding to the scenes. And then we have some cute music notes and also some confetti, perfect for parties. We have some fun little mini sentiments. We have Cappy birthday to you, Cap Cap hooray, don't worry, be Cappy. You're citrusly awesome, which just makes me smile. We also have Cappy birthday to you. We had a lot of fun with these puns. We also have I wish you cappiness, and also nice cap grad, which always makes me smile. And then we have these mix and match sentiments. So we have a very cappy, and then things you can mix and match with it. We have birthday, day, and also graduation. Then we have some other sentiments. You make me cappy. And then we have congrats. And then one of my favorites, which is don't worry, be cappy. And then, of course, we have an exclamation point that you can add to the end of your phrases. And here you can see all of the cute images in this set. Oh my goodness. And now we're going to add some color to these images. So right now here I'm using my Copic markers. You could use markers, colored pencils, or coloring stencils, which I'll show you in just a little bit. This marker combo here is my favorite for coloring in the capybaras, and I got this from Tammy from our design team. I saw her color in the capybaras and they were gorgeous. I asked her, oh my gosh, I need to know what markers you used, and this turned out so cute. And so here you can see I'm just blending dark to medium to light, and he's looking so cute. Then for his snout and his little feet there, I'm going to be using a different shade of brown, and you can see that on the capybaras. They kind of have darker paws and snouts, and so I like the 2 different shades of brown because it really helps them stick out. And so now I'm going to be repeating the same thing on all of these cute capybaras. So I'm going to add my darker marker, then my mediums, and then out to the light. You can see here I'm starting with my darkest marker. I'm going kind of all the way around him and then towards the edge of his face, and then adding a little shadow at his neck and around his cute little paws here. I love this little standing capybara. He just makes me smile. And now I'm going to take these same markers and work my way down all of my other cute little capybaras. And I absolutely love making these cards because they are just so adorable, and it just really makes me smile to see these little guys, and I think it would make someone else smile too. I love the idea of making a card with cute and unique little critters, and I think, oh my gosh, they would just make anybody just so happy. They're just adorable, so cappy actually. And so here you can see I'm blending it out, and you can add a little bit more of your light marker, a little bit more of your dark marker, and kind of mix up their shades. You could also use different shades of brown too, but here you can see I'm doing my darkest and now the medium. And then I really leave a lot of the capybara light there because I want to bring my lightest marker at the end so that he really has this kind of nice glow. So there you can see dark marker again, then my medium, and then my next medium, and now just with the light really lightly. I don't want to keep going over it because if you keep going over it over and over again, it's going to darken up that color. I really want it to stay light so that they have a nice little glow towards the ends of their phrases, and I think faces, excuse me, and it looks just so cute and so fun. And so again, we're going to repeat the same thing here. We're going to blend him out and then bring in that lightest marker. And then now we can go back and use the darker marker for their little snouts and their little feet. So here we're just going to blend out again, darkest marker towards the edge and then blend out to the lightest. And oh my goodness, they are just looking so cute. I am getting so excited about seeing everybody's capybara cards because they're just adorable. I've been watching capybara videos with my son and they have just been making us smile. I love that they're okay with animals standing on their backs or on their heads. So I saw some little birds like standing on them. It's just so cute and so sweet. So now that we've added some color to the capybaras, I'm going to give them some cute little rosy cheeks, and then we'll start adding some color to the different images in this set. So here I'm using some turquoises for this cute little bird, and then I'm going to use those same turquoise colors for my accessories so that everything coordinates really nicely. So I'm just going to go through, add some of the polka dots, some of the stripes on the hats, and just bring this color in. And then I'll go back in and bring in some other happy colors like pinks and yellows. So we're going to bring in some pinks for the birthday hats, and then just kind of blend it out. A little bit of a dark marker, a little light, quick and easy, and super, super cute. I'm also going to use the pink on the cake too, again, so that everything coordinates really nicely. We're going to bring in kind of this golden yellow here, and of course some yellowy orange for our birthday candles there. And then I really like this combo here for cakes. It really makes it look like kind of like a little toasty vanilla cake. I just think it's really cute. So I really like this little combo, and I add little dots in there too, just to give it some extra texture. Here I'm going to turn these into like some little mandarin oranges, which I think is going to look really cute. And then we'll add some pink and also some kind of orange over the pink onto the frosting. And I think that looks really sweet too. Then here add some green, and then of course for our little grad cap I like using some dark grays. And I think that's so cute. It's the perfect match for those guys. Now here we're going to take a look at the Capybaras add-on. It has this cute little frog, which is fun for helping set the scene, and then the sweetest little sleeping baby capybara. It has some rocks again that are great for helping set the scene, and then some cute little grasses too that I like to layer behind and fill in my adorable little capybaras. We also have some fun mini sentiments too. We have stay chill, oh, Cappy Day. I'm Cappy for you. I love these little mini phrases. And ribbit for the frog. And then, of course, some Z's for our adorable sleeping capybara. And now again, we're going to add some color to these images. And you can use your favorite markers, colored pencils, or the coloring stencils I'll show you in just a little bit. And so we're just going to blend out this cute little froggy here, give him some rosy cheeks too. And then I'm going to use the same exact colors that I did for the other capybaras for this guy. Once I find a color combo I like, I just stick with it because I know I like it. I know exactly how to make it look nice, and it just makes it so much fun and relaxing to color because I know exactly what colors to use. And so we'll do the same thing for this little guy. And then I'm going to bring in some grays here for these rocks, but these rocks would be really pretty in a shade of brown too, depending on what kind of scene you're going for. Then we can take some greens and add them into our grasses. And now all of these cute images are done. And I just wanted to bring in the add-on here with the original set so you can see how all of these things can mix and match together. Here are the coordinating dies for the capybara set, which you can see are already all separated. We're going to take those and line them up with our stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, we'll run it through the die cut machine, and we'll get perfectly cut images every time. And then here you can see all of the images from the capybara stamp set, and oh my goodness, they are so cute and so much fun to mix and match in cute scenes on your cards. You can see you can add the little birthday hats on them and then give them a little party horn and the cake, which is super cute. You can have the bird rest on their head or on the body of the one that's laying down, which is super adorable. You can add the confetti and music notes, and of course add the graduation cap onto the capybaras as well. You can balance the little orange on top of their heads in the yuzu, which you can see so many cute videos and images of capybaras doing that, or have them around their cute little cake like that celebrating. There's just so many fun ways to mix and match these adorable images, and you can of course take the hats and layer them on the different capybaras and mix and match them together. Then here are the coordinating dies for the Capybaras add-on stamp set, which are already separated, so all you need to do is just line them up with your stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape. You'll run it through the die cut machine and again have perfectly cut out images every time. And then here are all of the images from the Capybaras add-on. They're so cute and so much fun for adding in onto the scenes. I love that you can layer the adorable little frog onto the rocks, or you can layer the sleeping capybaras too, and then adding the grasses in front and behind add a fun look to these. And here you can see how we can layer in the capybaras from the original set with the adorable images from the add-on. And of course you can bring in all of the cute accessories and do just adorable little scenes. I mean, look at that. How could you not smile? It's just so cute and sweet. And here you can see us mixing and matching some of the grasses and other elements from the set. You can of course layer the other capybaras from the original set on to the little rock from the add-on, or bring in your cute sleeping guy too and make just adorable and fun scenes with all of these copies. Now here is our Riverside backdrop in the portrait style. You can see it creates this cool perspective of a backdrop, and it has all these scene builder elements. We have little grasses and rocks. We also have this fun little hill that you can add or not, or in these fun little waves that you can cut or not too. So here you can see how the pieces just pop right out of the backdrop die. This little hill here is a hill you can layer over the river to give it more of like a forked river look, or you can just have a bigger river, depending on the look that you're going for. You can also take these grasses and layer them into your scenes too, and I think they look so cute. One of the things that I really love about this die is that it's great with the capybaras, but it's great for so many other cards too. Cute frog cards, you can do our It's a Bird mice. There's so many fun and adorable things like our moose, all of our little animals. Anybody who's going to be around a river, this is great for. Now here you can see that the die includes these cute little kind of wave markers, and so you can layer these as many as you want into your scene. You'll hold them in place with some low tack tape, and then you can run them through the die cut machine, and it's going to give you these cool little cutouts, which either could give texture, but you can also tuck little characters into them. We'll be doing that with the capybaras in just a little bit, but you could tuck a little fish in there, you could tuck a little frog, I mean there's a little duck. There's so many cute things that you can do with these because you can add things right into them. And here you can see how that river can just layer right back into your backdrop. And of course you can add this fun little hill as well, and it gives it just a totally different look when you layer that hill there. Now we're going to take a look at the Riverside backdrop in the portrait style. Again, it gives you that really cool perspective of the river, and then it has all of these fun scene building elements as well. There's a super cute little tree, and then some grasses and rocks too, and you can mix and match any of the elements from both of the sets together, which is really awesome. It also comes with those little cut pieces too, those little wave pieces that are going to work in the same way. So you'll put your low tack tape, hold them in place, run it through the die cut machine, and again you can get texture or tuck some of your favorite characters inside of them. And here you can see how you can layer the tree and add these fun scene builder elements into your scene. Now, this is so cool as a Riverside backdrop. It's absolutely gorgeous. But Megan from our design team did something really clever, and she turned the river, instead of a river, she made it kind of like a dirt path or a little dirt road. And that is a really cool way to use this die too. And we'll show you that card in a bit. It's so fun. So I love that you can get really creative with it and create the best scenes for all your favorite critters. Here are the coloring stencils for the Capybara stamp set, and it is a set of 2 of them, and it has all of your cute capybaras. We have etch guidelines on all of our stencils, which makes it really easy to line up with your stamped images. So you'll just line it up and then add some ink onto them. Here I'm using some pizza crust, which is the perfect color for these capybaras, and I'm adding a little bit more ink to the left side and letting my brush kind of run out of ink towards the right to give it a nice shadow. Now for his snout and his little feet, I'm going to be using some dough ink, and again just adding a little bit of darkness towards one side and letting the ink run off of my brush towards the other to give a nice shadow. Here for our cute little cake, I'm going to use some sugar cookie for the cake part. I'll use some fresh lavender ink for our little icing or frosting here onto the cake. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of carrot ink for my orange, and then some freshly cut grass for my little green leaf there. And look how gorgeous these are. I absolutely love the look of coloring stencils. It's just so soft and pretty. And here I'm going to bring in an image that was colored with my Copic markers to show you a comparison. And I love that whether you love to stencil or you love to marker, you can get such beautiful looks, and I really love the soft look of the coloring stencils. I just think it looks absolutely beautiful. So here we have some Capybara add-on coloring stencils, and this is a set of 2 as well. We make all of our coloring stencils the size of the stamp set, so no matter how you store your stamp set, you can easily store your coloring stencils with it. I'm using the same colors for this tiny cute little capybara, and of course because of the etch guidelines, it makes it really quick and easy to line up these stencils. I'm going to do the same thing for the rock here, and I'm going to be using some manatee and hippo ink here just to add a little bit of shadow here onto the rocks and give them a nice gray look, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I just love using coloring stencils, and I can't wait to see how you guys use them, so make sure to share that with us too. So now it's time to finally create a card with these cute products. And so we're going to be using the Landscape Riverside Backdrop here and our brand new paper, which is Gleeful Gradients. This paper is so gorgeous. It has this beautiful gradient that I am just obsessed with. And we're going to be using this gradient to help us add color to the different parts of the Riverside Backdrop. So here you can see I'm kind of looking through the Riverside Backdrop and finding the perfect spot in my Gleeful Gradients paper so that I have this really beautiful gradient onto my river. Once I find the perfect spot, I can hold it in place with some low-tack tape. I'll run it through my die cut machine, and now you'll see I'll have the river part of my backdrop all done. So the next thing that I want to do is add some of those cute little wave lines. And so I decided to use the smallest and the medium ones, and I'm going to layer that onto the river. And so again, I can use my low-tack tape to hold those in place. And this is going to be a place for me to tuck my adorable little capybaras. You're going to see just how cute it looks. It looks like they're peeking out of the water. It's just adorable. Next, I'm going to use that brand new Gleeful Gradients paper again and find the perfect greenish color for the grass that's going to be around my river. And so here you can see I'm just kind of going through. You can see all the beautiful colors. I'm so in love with these papers. And so again, I'm just going to look through the die and kind of see how it's going to look. I'm even using my little river piece here to see where the best green that's going to match it. Now right here is when I realized, you know what, I actually think I want to use the 12 by 12 paper. And what I love about the difference between the 6 by 6 and the 12 by 12 is that there's a difference in the scale. So you're going to have the colors much closer together on the 6 by 6 and they're more spread out on the 12 by 12, which gives you a lot of options. So in this case, I found my perfect shade of green right on the 12 by 12 paper. And so I love being able to go back and forth between these two because I can get two totally different looks out of this gorgeous gradient paper. And we're going to run that through the die cut machine, and now we have this really pretty green, and then we can add our Riverside Backdrop right in there. You can just piece it right inside, and look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Now these papers are absolutely gorgeous on their own, but I really wanted it to have an ink blended look and I wanted to try something. So I took some Mowed Lawn Distress ink and I just quickly brushed over the edge, just one edge of my pattern paper, and it made it look like I had ink blended a background for like 20 minutes. I thought it looked so pretty. So then I decided to try it on the river. I'm using some Peacock Feathers ink here and I'm just inking right at the bottom of that, and it gives it this beautiful ink blended look. So if you want a quick way to get an ink blended look, start with the gradient paper, add a little ink, and it looks beautiful. Now for some texture here on the river, I'm going to pick up some white paint here with my paintbrush and then just tap the paintbrush to get little splatters. You could use Copic white like I'm using here or some white acrylic paint, and I think it looks so pretty. Then we're going to do the same thing here on our grass just to kind of give it some fun texture. So I'm just picking up some of the paint and then tapping my paintbrush to get some nice little texture onto this pretty pattern paper. I'm also going to add some green splatters onto the grass too. So I'm taking that Mowed Lawn ink, which is the ink that I used to ink the edge really quickly. I'm going to smear it on an acrylic block. I'm going to spray a little bit of just plain water, and I'm going to pick that up with my brush and then just tap my brush to get some splatters on there. And that's going to give it some nice texture. And I think this is looking so pretty. I love the idea of adding a little bit of ink onto pattern papers. It just looks gorgeous. Now that we have our grass and our river, we need a sky. So I'm going to go into, again, the Gleeful Gradients paper, and I kind of kept going back and forth between these two. There's one that's like a pinky orange and one that's more of an orangey yellow. And so I decided to go ahead with this pretty orangey yellow color. I found the perfect spot again with my die. I love that you can use the die as kind of like a little viewfinder. We'll hold it in place with some low-tack tape. We can then run that through the die cut machine, and that's going to give me the top part, the sky, which I'll be able to kind of paper piece into the whole backdrop. Now again, this is so pretty, this paper just like this. It really doesn't need any inking, but I just love the idea of doing this inking technique. It's just a fun thing to do. I always like to get out my brushes. And so here I'm using some picked raspberry ink, which is really pink. And I'm just going to add just a little bit to the bottom and then do my white splatters again, just so that everything matches and has a pretty texture. And I think, again, this is so pretty, and I love that it just takes seconds to do. Now I need to piece all of these parts together. So I have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25, which is the same size as this backdrop die. And I'm just adding some tape runner to the back. I'm going to add the frame part first, and then I'm going to pop in my other pieces. But before I do that, I need to add my capybaras into those little river wave lines. And so the first thing I'm doing here is just taking a white gel pen and adding some cute little details to these guys. I love the cartoon effect of the white gel pen lines. I think it just looks absolutely adorable. Now that we've added that extra texture, we can bring our capybaras into the scene, and I'm going to go ahead and tuck them into the little river piece. And look at this. Like, I can't. I'm just like, it's so cute when he's peeking out of the little wave. It's just adorable. It just makes me smile over and over again. Just watching the video, doing it in person, it's just so fun. And so here I'm going to add some tape runner to the back of him, and then I'm going to go ahead and just feed him in from the back into the wave and have his little head peeking out, which is so cute. And then the adhesive that I added on there will hold him in place. And then we can repeat the same thing with the other wave there. And that's why I used the bigger wave, because I wanted to use a bigger capybara for this one. So even the little standing guy, he looks really cute in the wave because it looks like he's peeking out of the water. So once you have him in there, all you need to do is just trim off the excess and he is just perfect. Then we can add some adhesive to the back of the whole piece and we can just drop that right into the backdrop. Then we'll do the same thing with our beautiful sunset side we created. We can just layer that right in, and I love the feeling of piecing these in. It's like a little puzzle. Now, to give our cute little river-dwelling capybaras there a little pop, I'm going to add some foam squares just right behind their head, so that way they look like they're just really peeking up out of the water, and I think that adds a lot of fun dimension. Now, to help set the scene for all of these cute guys, I thought it would be fun to use some of the fun scene builder elements that are included in the Riverside Backdrop. And I used elements from both the portrait and the landscape. Of course, you could just use the ones in the portrait, but I thought, why not? I'll mix and match some of the different ones because they're all different sizes of rocks and trees. And to add some colors to these, I'm going to be die cutting them out of white cardstock and then using my markers to add color. I really love doing this. I don't know what it is, but adding color with markers or ink to white die cuts is like very relaxing for me. So this is one of my favorite things to do. I find that when I add color with markers, the faster I am and the less perfect I am with it, the better it looks. I just kind of like smear the colors over each other. I don't blend them too perfectly, and it gives it this gorgeous texture. I also used my marker to add little dots onto the rock just to make them look like they were kind of pebbly. Now we're going to do the same thing with these little green grasses. I've got my dark color. I'm just kind of scribbling it over with my medium, and then I'm going to bring in the light. And again, you can see I'm just kind of scribbling really quickly, and I think it looks so, so pretty. And so we'll repeat this with all of the little grasses, and then we're going to do the same thing for the tree. Use the same G40 markers for the tree top, and then I'm going to use some E40 markers for the base of the tree. And you can see I'm just adding some dark marker, again, really quickly, blending it out, and then just adding my lightest marker, and it just looks so pretty. And then because we added some white splatters onto our background, white gel pen onto our characters, I'm going to add some white gel pen onto all of these little die cuts too. And so I'm adding just little lines and dots to add some nice texture. And then we can bring all of these elements in to our cute scene and our capybaras, and I can start layering these all in there, and I think this just looks so pretty. This is just so much fun. So we're going to be adding some tape runner to some pieces and some pop dots to others. That way we get lots of dimension with some things in the foreground and some things in the background. We're going to layer the tree trunk over the kind of tree shrub part, and then we can layer that into the scene with some tape runner too. And then here I'm going to add this rock with a pop dot, and I'm actually going to layer my cute little frog on top of the rock. And I like the mixture of the stamped elements and the die cut elements. It's just fun to mix and match these. And I was inspired by Tammy to create this card. This cute little scene that she created is just the sweetest. So thank you so much, Tammy. So I'm going to go ahead and add the cute little bird, my capybara, my cute little cake here. And then I realized that I needed a sentiment. So I'm going to be stamping out "Don't worry, be Cappy," which is so cute. I wanted this to just be like a general card that I would send to someone just to make them smile. And this is a perfect sentiment for that. So we're going to stamp that out in some black licorice ink. And then we're going to use a sentiment banner die to die cut it. You'll see this die is a little bit longer than the sentiment, but that's okay. We're going to line it up on the left side. We'll hold it in place with some low tack tape. We'll run it through the die cut machine. And then we're just going to line up the die on the right side so that it becomes the perfect custom shaped little banner. Once we have that lined up, again, we can hold it in place with that low tack tape and then run it through the die cut machine, and we'll have this perfect cute little image on an adorable banner. Then we can add some tape runner to that and layer it in the sky. And then I realized I needed one more little cappy here. So I decided to add some foam squares to the back of him. And now this card is all done. Look how cute this is. I love these capybaras so much. And of course, we now have the perfect washi tape to go along with them. So here you can see just how cute this washi tape is. So I love using washi tape for decorating the insides of my cards, for gift bags or gift tags, and of course for my envelopes too. So now we can put our cute little card in the envelope and add this perfect coordinating washi tape to that. And another idea, of course, is to add the washi tape to the inside of your cards. It adds a super cute little decoration and it's a fun surprise for the recipient. And then next, I wanted to show you a little comparison of this card to some of the cards from the design team. And this card here by Grace is so super cute. And she used the portrait style. She also used the little waves and tucked in the cappies. And I think this scene is just so super cute and a perfect birthday card. Then here I wanted to show you that card by Megan where she turned that river into a dirt road instead. How cute is that? She also used our Simply Celebrate Hangouts for that log and created the most adorable scene. So I love that there's so many fun ways to use this. And next up we have an awesome card by Shari. So take it away, Shari.
So for this card, I'm creating a birthday card using the Capybaras set as well as the add-on. And I've also pulled out all the speech bubbles for a couple of the little sentiments from the set. I will be using the Foursquare Backdrop Portrait die using some of the new Gleeful Gardens papers for these beautiful ombre looks. So I'm starting out by cutting out the 4 squares out of this blue-green ombre, and you can see between those squares we have a blue up top and a green at the bottom. Then I've pulled out Sunrise Skies, which is this beautiful yellow to orange. And depending on where you cut your backdrop from the paper, you'll get a different look. I went for the more yellow to orange, but if you did the bottom, you would get a more orange to pink. Now on just the squares, I want to add some sparkle, and I am using some metallic gold watercolor to add some shimmer to these little squares. For my sentiment, I have pulled out the Scripty Birthday along with the new Scripty Birthday Outline add-on, which I've cut from some white pixie dust sparkle cardstock, and then the Scripty Birthday is cut from some Guava Cardstock. And I will just layer these two together. That outline die creates a nice little etching so you can see exactly where to put the Scripty word on top. And I love this kind of shadow or outline that this die creates. I'll just set a block on that so it dries nice and flat. For the rest of my sentiment, I'm using a stamp from the Capybaras set that says, "Have a very cappy," and it'll end with birthday, but I want to split this sentiment up a little bit. So I have a sentiment banner cut from some mermaid cardstock, and I want the first half to be on one side of the H and the second half to be on the other side. So you can see that I selectively inked my stamp and stamped very cappy on one side. Now I'm using some adhesive to kind of stick my Scripty birthday down so I can see exactly where to stamp the have a. And that's going to fit right above the T perfectly. Now I can start to assemble my card by putting my Foursquare backdrop onto a card base. Now I'm just using liquid glue to do this so that I can easily shift it around and line it up on the card base. I like to line it up with the top and use my desk to make sure everything's nice and straight. I also like to use a block to kind of put pressure everywhere evenly and keep the glue off of my fingers. Now I can add my little squares, and I've kept them in the right order up off the screen up here. You can't see it, but I know which ones go on top and which ones go on bottom so that I have that beautiful blue at the top and that green ombre at the bottom. And I'm just using a tape runner to add these. You could also use liquid glue if you wanted. And I really like the look that just the squares have the metallic splatters. I think that's kind of fun. And then the frame stays nice and clean. Now I will go ahead and add my sentiment to the bottom down here. Since I glued it together, it all kind of acts as one sentiment. And I'm popping this up with some foam squares, and then I'll just trim off the excess part of that banner that hangs off the side. So now I'm ready to start adding my cute capybaras to my little scenes. And I think I used almost every image in these stamp sets to create this card, but it turned out super fun. I am adding the party hats to some of their heads. Each little square has a capybara with a party hat. And then, of course, I have those fun speech bubbles. I love that there are 2 sizes of hats, so we can add hats to the little ones as well. I am popping up almost every image with some foam. Now on that top one, I popped up both of the capybaras, but I did glue the sentiment in the speech bubble and the grass directly to the background. For this little guy down here with the cake, all of that is popped up. Then I'm moving up to that top left square, and I will pop up this guy with his party hat with some foam squares as well. On this little square, I am using that cute little frog from the add-on set, and I am going to add him to his rock. And I'm actually going to use some thin foam squares for him, so he is popped up but not quite as high as the capybara in that square. I'm adding my little orange and my little grass. And then for this guy who's asleep, I thought it would be cute to add this little one sitting on top of him. I just think that is so cute and it makes me smile. So I will add some foam squares to both of these so that they are popped up. Finally, I have that big grass that I'm just going to glue tucked behind my sentiment banner and that sleeping capybara. I will add this speech bubble and then that little party horn. I thought it'd be funny if this guy's blowing it towards the cake. Now there are some little sentiments in this set, like always, so I'm adding the little sleepy Z's to these sleepy capybaras in this square. There is the little sentiment that says ribbit, so that of course needs to go up here with my cute little frog. And then there are some music notes which I thought would be perfect to kind of fill in right above this little one that's celebrating his birthday. So I'm just stamping all of those in black ink directly onto the pattern paper. And of course, our last step is some glitter to the top half of the card to match that glittery sentiment. And I added glitter to all of the party items, so all of the party hats and the cake with the candles and the icing. And then this is my finished Have a Very Happy Birthday card. I just love how it turned out. It is so cute and I love how colorful it is. Today I'm creating a cute little scene with the It's a Bird mice and some of the images from the Backyard Bird Feeder stamp set. I've already colored and cut out my images and I will just set those aside because today I'm creating a riverside scene. So this is the new Riverside Backdrop portrait. And I'm actually going to cut this whole thing from white paper. So I'm going to cut the main backdrop from white paper as well as that little hill that's going to go in the front. And I am going to do some ink blending to make this scene come to life. So I have a grip mat here that I have just stuck that piece of paper down to so it doesn't move around. And I'm starting out with freshly cut grass ink and I'm just going all over my hills with this green. I am kind of concentrating it a little bit right at the river edge and I will add some more dark there as well to create some nice shading on this scene. I'm not worried about going over onto the edge or onto the frame because I am going to cover that up with a white frame once I get all my inking done. Next, I'm pulling out some jalapeno ink, so this is a little bit darker, and I'm using a smaller blending brush to add some really dark shading right at the river's edge, so right on that edge of that die cut. And as this ink absorbs into the paper, it will smooth out a little bit as well. But I do want to add some texture to this, and I'm going to do that in two different ways. First, I have some clover ink, and I've just smushed that onto my glass craft mat. I will add a little bit of water, and we're going to add some splatters all over the grass. And because this is water-based, it's going to kind of absorb, but I want some darker splatters to sit on top, so I'll use a dark green watercolor paint for some extra texture. And then I will just pull this off of this grip mat very carefully because it is kind of delicate with that frame and I don't want to tear my paper. And I'll just set this aside while those splatters dry. Now I'm moving on to the little hill that's going to sit in the foreground of our scene. You could do this green as well, but I thought it would be fun to make it look like a little sandy island in the middle of the river. So I'm starting out with some tea dye Distress Oxide. Then I'm coming in with gathered twigs to add some darkness along the bottom. I will grab that tea dye ink blender and kind of blend it out a little bit. But just like the grass, I am going to add some texture to this as well. So to add texture to this little sandy island, I'm going to use two different methods. First, I'm going to start with some clean water. So this is just clean water out of my little water jar. And you can see it reacts with the ink and it creates some lighter areas. Then I want some dark splatters, and so I'm using some dark brown watercolor paint to add those darker splatters, and we get this really fun sandy look. I also always like to add some white ones as well, so I'm getting some white watercolor paint and I'm flicking it off the block so it's really fine. This adds a lot of dimension and a lot of texture to this little die cut. And again, I will just carefully pull this off the grip mat. I'm using my tweezers and I'll just set that aside for all those little splatters to dry. Now I've cleaned my mat off and I'm moving on to my river. There are these little dies in the die set that will cut little waves. So I'm going to do that first, and I've just placed my little island there just as a go by so I can see where exactly I should cut those little waves. So I will hold these in place with a little bit of tape and run that through my die cut machine. Now it's time to ink blend my river, and I'm starting out with some merman ink. This is a lighter teal colored ink, and I'm going to go all over this whole river with this ink. It's going to be very light to begin with, but you can see I really like how that ink kind of catches on those die cuts and adds some more interest to those little waves that I created. Also, I'm not very concerned about that bottom right corner because I will be covering that up. So you're going to see I'm just going to kind of leave that white as I ink blend. Next up, I'm going to pull in some peacock ink. So this one's a little bit darker, and I'm really going to start to add some dimension to this die cut. So I'm pulling that peacock ink down from the top and in from the sides of the river. And I'm really just letting that lighter ink kind of hang out right along the edge of where my little sandy island's going to be. Finally, I wanted to pull in some blue with that teal, and I love using forget-me-not with the teal colors of peacock and merman. And I'm just adding that darkness up to the top. As that river goes back into the background, it gets darker and darker, and I just think this is a really cool look. Now I want to add splatter and texture to this as well, but for this one I'm using some white metallic watercolor so that we get the look of shimmer like the water. So you know how a river shimmers as it flows? I just think that this really adds some dimension and some excitement to that river and that realistic look of that shimmer. So I'll pull this off and let it dry as well. This die set also has elements of grass and rocks, and I've cut some of those from some gray cardstock and textured green. And then for the sentiment, I'm using a sentiment from Backyard Bird Feeder that says "Your Seed Sational." And I've just cut a small sentiment banner out of white cardstock for my sentiment that will go right along the bottom of my card. I am going to add a little bit of shading to my grass using some Rustic Wilderness Distress ink, and I'm just adding it right to the bottom where that grass is going to touch the grass of my background. Just add some nice shading, and I'm just adding a little bit with a tiny brush. Now for my sky, I could have ink blended this sky and added splatters, but I thought I'd just use this piece of spiffy speckles paper for my sky. It kind of already has the splatters done for me. So I'm just trimming it down. I don't even need to cover the whole background because I only need the top. And so I'm just using a scrap that I had in my stash. I actually even cut it a little bit smaller than the card base, but that's okay because that frame's going to cover it up. So you can see there, I didn't even need but about half of the card with that pattern paper. Now, as I said before, I'm going to cover up this inking that goes onto the frame of this backdrop using a stitch rectangle frame. This is just cut from that same white cardstock, but you can see that this frames it out nicely and cleans up that inking. Now I can start to add my background elements to my card base, and I'm just going to use some liquid glue. I went all the way around the outside frame and behind the grass, and I'm just gluing this directly to my card base, and you can see that spiffy speckles sky is going to peek through at the top. Then I can add my river, again just adding this directly to the card base, so the whole background is going to be nice and flat. and that will let me pop up all my characters with some foam. And I'm just using my tweezers to kind of make sure that's tucked down inside that frame. Now for the island, I thought about popping it up with foam, but decided I didn't want that much pop to it. So I'm actually just cutting another piece of cardstock with the same die and layering it on the back just so it's a little bit thicker and it will set up just a little bit from the river. And this just gets tucked right into that bottom corner of the frame. Now I can add my sentiment, and I am going to pop this up with some foam, which is partly why I wanted to make that little island a little flatter and not pop it up. And I'm just using some foam strips to add to the back of the sentiment banner. So this will just go right along the bottom. And now I can add some of the grass and the rocks right above the sentiment, which I think is a really fun look. It makes the sentiment sort of look like it's part of the scene. So I have that big grass and that medium-sized grass, and then I'm also using the big rock. And I cut this from some narwhal cardstock, and the grass is cut from some green textured cardstock, so it has some fun texture. Now I'm adding that branch from Backyard Bird Feeder. I did use foam strips so it is popped up, and I can add my little bird sitting on top. I also have a flying bird to go over here on the right side. And then I'll start to add my cute little mice. So I have this little guy that's going to go down here, and he has his hand up, and I always think it's fun to add this little bird that is sitting on his hand. Over here on the right side, we're going to have two little mice. So we have our navigator here with his map, and then we're going to have that other one that's looking over towards the left, and I wanted it to be looking up at that bird that is up on the branch at the top. Then our last little mouse, he's going to be kind of back here in the background. I wasn't quite sure where to put that bird just yet. Figured I'd put my mouse first. Since he's sort of in the background, I'm gluing him directly to the background so he's nice and flat. And now I can take those small grasses that I cut out and start to tuck them in and start to fill the scene in a little bit more. So I have one behind those two mice. I'm going to put a couple over here where the river starts off the side of the scene. And I will also add a little rock over here. And then I had one more rock and one more grass left, and I thought it would be cute to add it to the middle of the stream. So I'm just adding this right in here, and then I will tuck that last little grass like it's coming out from behind that rock. And then I have that one last little bird that I wasn't sure where I wanted it to go, and I decided it needed to go over here behind this mouse. So we have kind of the triangle of three little blue birds. And of course, I just need to cut off the extra part of that branch. And then here is our finished little scene. I am going to add some glitter to the rocks and to the leaves on the branch. And then now this cute little bird watching scene is all finished. I love this new backdrop and how we can use it with all kinds of stamps in our lawnfawn collection. And I love the ink blended look. It really makes for some rich colors and textures. I love that shimmer on the water. And I just think that this turned out so fun. So I am creating a quick and easy graduation card with this cute little capybara because there is also this cute little graduation hat in this stamp set, and I also love that sentiment that says cap cap hooray. I did use one of the speech bubbles from all the speech bubbles for that. I'm also using the Gleeful Gradients Midday Skies 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to be using the back side that has these fun stars. I'm just cutting this with the largest of the outside in stitched rectangles, so I have a nice piece of paper for my background with that little edge of stitching and that little white bit of border that's going to peek around the outside from my card base. For the sentiment on this card, I'm using the giant hooray and a scrap of paper from the Sunrise Skies Gleeful Gradient paper, and I'm actually going to turn it sideways. This gives you a different look. You can have your gradient go top to bottom or side to side. So I'm going to have this one go left to right. And you can see how that's going to take up most of my card. I have another scrap of that gradient paper that I'm going to use for my sentiment banner. And this is going to tuck behind my sentiment. And I'm just going to stamp the word congrats on that far right side that is sticking out from behind that die cut sentiment. So there is the word congrats in this stamp set, and I'll just stamp this all the way to the right of this sentiment banner. And now I can start to add all my things to the card. So I'm just going to hold this giant hooray in place while I add the sentiment banner directly to that background paper. Then for my sentiment, I use the thin foam strips to add foam tape all over the back of this giant sentiment so that it can be popped up off that background and have some nice dimension. And I'll just line that up, letting that H cover up the end of my sentiment banner. And of course, we can't forget the dot of that exclamation point. Then I can add my little capybara popped up with foam tape as well. And then for that little speech bubble, I'm just going to use a thin foam square to pop it up on top of my sentiment that is already with foam. Now I'm adding some stars to this for some shimmer, and I'm using some metallic gold cardstock, and I used the sequin mix die to cut out the 3 sizes of star sequins, and I am just sprinkling these all over the card. This is going to be my shimmer for this card, and I just place them everywhere, and once I have the placement the way I like, then I go through and pick each one up and add it with a little dot of liquid glue. And then finally, I will stamp a sentiment on the inside of this that says, "Have a very cappy graduation." And then here is my finished card with that cute little capybara and that big bold sentiment. I think that this came together really quickly and pretty easily, and it would be fun to play with lots of different colors for this card design.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I love all of these cards so much. It's so cute for graduation, absolutely adorable for birthday, and I love the 4 little mini scenes. And then I love that the backdrop can be used with lots of your favorite stamp sets. Next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team, and this card by Grace is so beautiful. I love how she added the cute little copies into those little rivers, and the fun birthday theme just makes me smile. Next up, we have a super sweet card by Elena. I love that pinky purple sky that she created, and it looks so great with the backdrop. Here, Tammy shows us that the copies are a perfect match for our brand new Build-A-Cake die. I love these little guys with the big cake. It's so fun. This card here by Mindy is just adorable. I love how she added all of these fun little beach things to the copies. It's just so fun. This card by Audrey is just beautiful. Her inking is just wow. I can't wait to try something like it. It's just beautiful. And then this card is so sweet. I love the softer colors. It's just so pretty with the vellum over the lake too. This card by Megan is so much fun. I love how she took the Riverside Backdrop and she turned the lake into a dirt road. And then this card by Maureen is just so sweet. I love the little guy in the middle peeking out of the water and how she added the adorable lily pads. And then she took a similar theme and she used the portrait version, which I think is just so gorgeous. Here you can see that our Riverside Backdrop is perfect for other cards too, and this Dad Plus Me card with the mountains in the background is just perfect. This card by Mindy shows that you can bring your It's a Bird mice and your favorite frogs into the Riverside Backdrop, and it's just too fun. Of course, then you can put your favorite copies in there, and this card by Tammy is the one that inspired me to make mine today. I just love it. And this card here by Yanea is so pretty. I just love those little guys, and it's so cute with the orange paper in the background. This card here is so much fun, and I love how we added the little hill at the bottom to give the river a different look. It's perfect with the new Gleeful Gradients paper. And then this card by Lynette is so pretty. I love how she colored the little copies and how they're coming out of the river. This card by Letitia is so fun. By adding all of those trees, she really gave the feel of a forest, which is just beautiful. So we cannot wait to see all of your Capybara cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye.